Into AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Government wants businesses to comply with SOPs, but are the SOPs clear? And Muhyiddin announces vaccination plans, but are Malaysians willing to take the vaccine? That's coming up. The Prime Minister has warned stricter measures to deal with people and businesses found flouting SOPs. In a special address today, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the trend of rising COVID-19 cases is a worrying development and has driven the national health system to almost breaking point.
The Prime Minister, who arrived at Indonesia for an official visit today, said compliance of SOP in workplaces, workers' lodging and business premises are crucial to break the chain of COVID-19 infection. Therefore, he said amendments will be made to the Prevention and Control of Diseases Act 1988, Act 342, to enable faster and sterner action to be taken. He emphasized compliance of SOP in workplaces as the latest data shows 59% of COVID-19 transmissions occur in the workplace, 19% in detention centers and 14% in homes. Muhyiddin reiterates that the emergency proclamation is aimed at managing the pandemic and brushed off lawsuits coming his way for advising the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to declare emergency.
In his speech, Muhyiddin reiterated that it is best to allow business and trade to continue to operate, but urged the public and industries to comply strictly with the SOPs imposed by the government.
Of course, the government listens to your views by not shutting down the economy during the movement control order period. So please reciprocate this gesture by complying strictly with the SOP so that we can ensure business and trade will continue to operate while at the same time help break the chain of COVID-19 transmissions at the workplace and in the community.
Stricter measures and full compliance of SOPs. That's what the government wants from businesses. But what do businesses need? While they welcome the move to keep economic sectors open, clarity of SOPs for each sector and streamlined enforcement may not have been properly detailed out. SME Association President Datuk Michael Kang tells the reality faced by some businesses.
Okay, a lot of SOP are not clear. Why we are saying not clear? Because still a lot of majority of the industry are not allowed to operate. Only essential services allowed to operate. Against essential services allowed to operate, against the SOP are not clear. MKN come out a list of SOP, how get the industry to follow. But the police have different interpretation. Then local government, the same thing, they also have the different interpretation. When a lot of members apply from MITI to get the MITI approval as essential services to allow to operate, when they start operating, then police came in and say, no, your industry are not allowed to operate. They don't care about the MITI approval. They still go ahead and issue the summon to our members. So I think this is very unclear. So a lot of SMEs doesn't know what to do.
Senior Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced today that hair salons, car wash outlets and night markets can now reopen for business starting tomorrow. This is welcomed by many. However, concerns still remain on how long they can operate, as we face the prolonged pandemic. SME Association Malaysia President Datuk Michael Kang weighs in.
Every industry allowed to, but every industry have their own SOP. So every industry, they have to strictly follow the SOP according to their industry. So it should not across the board the same SOP apply to all the businesses. Because like you talk about beauty salon shop, they have their own SOP. They cannot operate like the others restaurant business. Because restaurant SOP will be different with the beauty salon. So all have their own SOP. So we have to strictly follow different industry, different SOP. We hope this is why like industry now, they have totally no directive, doesn't know what to do, because every 2 weeks they announce extension. We hope that government can come up with very clear guideline for next 3 months, next 1 year, or next 2 years, what industry is supposed to do, how the private sector can follow the directive of the government, and we can work together hand in hand to overcome the COVID-19, to flatten the curve. At the same time, we can develop the economy and provide the living hope so that everybody able to have the food on the table.
SMEs are not the only one hurting from this current predicament. With interstate travel not allowed, there is not much optimism as well for domestic tourism. Hotels are struggling to get their occupancy rates up, with some even resorting to selling their food by the roadside. How bad is it for the hoteliers, and how can they recover from this? We spoke to Dato' N. Subramaniam, President of Malaysian Association of Hotels.
This is the harsh reality, and the government is not paying attention at all to the harsh reality. They are thinking the hotels are like we are cooking up food, we are getting money from somewhere else. We have no other source of income other than customers coming and staying in our hotels, and they have to contribute to our income. So if the government is taking very stringent measures and they want us to follow the MCO, we are all willing to cooperate with the government, but the government has to come up with some specific plans to them, like wage subsidy. One of the most important things is we are about I think 5,000 our hotels overall, big and small, and our membership in the Malaysian Association of Hotels, we got about 1,000 members. The we employ about nearly 150 to 200,000 people in the hotel and tourism industry. Taking all this into account, we have requested the government, two important things are wage subsidy. They have to come up, they cannot give us $600 and say survive and close all the hotels. How is that possible unless there's a magic formula to it? So the government has to realize the reality, and if they do not want all these hotels to fold up, which will also mean incurring jobs, a lot of jobs will be lost, and it's going to create more economic problems to the government.
It appears that hoteliers are drowning under current circumstances. The lifeline thrown by the government does not look to be enough to address the issue at hand.
The hotel industry and tourism industry are one of the largest contributors to the government. I think they're second or third. We contribute millions, I think $30–40 billion of transaction every year is being done through the hotels and through the tourism industry. And the government must realize this, and it must try to keep the hotels afloat.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
We're now facing the third wave. So remember, go out only if you need to. Wear your mask, avoid shaking hands, and always...
Sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupas.
Welcome back to AWANI Tonight. The government today announced more information about the National COVID-19 Immunization Plan. Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Khairi Jamaluddin, has been appointed as the coordinating minister. As for the rollout, it will be conducted in phases.
For Phase 1, the government is targeting to vaccinate 500,000 frontliners in between February to April this year. The next phase would be high-risk groups, a total of 9.4 million people. This include the elderly aged 60 years old and above, those with chronic diseases and people with disabilities. The ministry target to vaccinate this group between April to August. The last phase, Phase 3, would involve adult aged 18 years old and above being vaccinated from May to February 2022.
As the government prepares to roll out vaccines, how are people's acceptance towards them? A survey of 1,400 people conducted by University Science Islam Malaysia found that many still had poor knowledge about vaccines.
Many of them do not know that vaccination can contribute to herd immunity, and they also did not know that some of the vaccine contain a genetic material, which is mRNA, as the active ingredient, And even some of them believe that the COVID vaccine can also protect them from influenza infection. And regarding the acceptance, we found that 64.5% were willing to get vaccinated, 11% were not willing to get vaccinated, and we have 25% that was still not undecided.
Meanwhile, among the reasons highlighted for refusing vaccines were rapid development of vaccine, inadequate information about the vaccine and clinical data, long-term side effect, and also halal status of the vaccine.
Clearly, many are still in the dark despite many information provided by the Ministry of Health. How can we best disseminate information so that Malaysians are ready and accepting for when the COVID-19 vaccines arrive?
Because we want to make sure that all age group can get the correct information, and the information should be in the layman terms, be easily understood, and we should also avoid the scientific jargon so that people can get more information and they will understand more for the vaccine. We also have to use different languages, I think, not only English and Malay, but we can also translate the information into, Mandarin or Tamil, because because we are multiracial country, so we have to cater all walks of life, everyone.
Coming up on Consider This, debunking myths surrounding COVID-19 vaccines. With the first arrival of vaccines scheduled later this month, how do we address the hesitancy expressed by certain quarters of the public? As the world battles the pandemic, there is another deadly disease lurking in the background. On World Cancer Day, here's what we need to remember.
Early detection and effective treatment are key for recovery. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said today the situation is worrying as overall percentage of late stages cancer cases in Malaysia increased from 58.7% between 2001 and 2011 to 63.7% in 2012 to 2016. According to the Academy of Medicine of Malaysia, the most common causes of death in Malaysia are breast, colorectal and lung cancer. The Academy said cancer did not receive the same level of attention last year because of COVID-19, though the silver lining was it accelerated adoption of telehealth for healthcare departments and patients, including those with cancer.
On to some international news. Myanmar's military-run government has ordered their internet service providers to temporarily block access to Facebook until February 7th. This move was made amid growing protests only days after the military seized power from its civilian leadership.
Myanmar's Ministry of Transport and Communications sent a notice to all telecommunication companies saying Facebook and its services should be made unavailable in order to maintain stability in the country. According to a report in TechCrunch, a Facebook spokesperson said late Wednesday that the company was aware that access to Facebook is currently disrupted for some people. Facebook is especially popular in Myanmar, and the ousted government had commonly made public announcement on the social media site. Internet users said the disruption began late Wednesday night, and mobile service provider Telenor Myanmar confirmed in a statement that mobile operators and internet service providers in Myanmar had received a directive from the Communication Ministry to temporarily block Facebook.
A U.S. warship sailed through the Taiwan Straits on Thursday, making it the first of such voyage under Joe Biden's administration. The American Navy confirmed the guided missile destroyer made a transit through the waterways separating mainland China and Taiwan.
Meanwhile, the move is viewed by Beijing as a threat to China's sovereignty, although U.S. and other nations insist the route is within international waters, which they believe to be open to all. The voyage by USS John S. McCain shows the commitment of Biden's administration to a free and open Indo-Pacific while also supporting Taiwanese independence.
And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.